What is going on, everyone? Episode 45. After further review, new year, new platform, new podcast. We're excited.
You already know Ben, Ryan, and Chase. Chase on the other side of the pond over there. What's going on, Chase?
Not too much. Just kicking it. Excited for the new year. Trying out our new broadcasting equipment. So I'm excited to be here with you guys this week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And let us know how this looks for you guys. We're going to do some more live episodes. We're going to even be together here pretty soon in February. Probably get a live one in then. And we got some exciting things planned for the new year for the podcast.
Yeah, trying to continue to get better every day, every week. Trying to hold ourselves a little more accountable and just roll with it. And obviously, spit you guys the sport facts that you deserve and need. So,
yes, sir.
But
all right, let's get right into it. So NFL talk. I think, before we get into our over-unders, which if you guys don't remember, back in, what was it, August? If you guys, I think it was episode 20.
Right before the season started. It was when the preseason was going on.
Episode 28 and 29, I believe, is what it was. And we talked about our over-unders for the NFC, AFC. We came to an agreement on about 13 total. So we're going to go through those, see how bad they look now, see how good they look now. But first, we got to talk about the Ravens. Chase, 2 weeks where they just look dominating. Just dominating really good Super Bowl contenders, put themselves as a first overall seed. I think they clinched that, right?
Yep.
They did.
Yeah.
And now they can kind of just, take the foot off the pedal a little bit. So how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's sorry, hold on. Yeah, it's great for the Ravens to get the big wins, like you were saying. It does scare me a little bit because they are such big wins, and I really didn't want the number one seed overall. I feel like sometimes teams, and we saw it in baseball this most recently, when you get the bye, sometimes I feel like you can get complacent, and I'm not sure how this Ravens team would do with that amount of time, and if they do set Lamar, because then that's 2 weeks that he doesn't play, and there's a lot of different factors that can just change the way the team's playing. But in a way, it's good for health. You can maybe get Mark Andrews back and, get a bunch of your starters really good rest time, especially if they were banged up recently. So in a way, it's good. And in a way, I was it sketches me out for sure. But yeah, definitely big wins. The dismantling of the 49ers was awesome. Defensively, I feel like everyone who wanted Brock Purdy to just eat a bag of dog shit finally got to see it happen on behalf of the Ravens. So you're welcome, America. And number two, the Dolphins. The game got out of hand quickly. I feel like the Dolphins, I don't really know what happened there. They first drive were dominant, went down the field and scored. And at that point, I was like, it's going to be a long game if this is how it's going to be. But obviously it shifted, and the Dolphins just got outscored. I do want to blast the Dolphins, though, for a second. They left Bradley Chubb on the field late in the fourth quarter when the game was obviously out of hand, and he tore his ACL. And I feel like that's just, I don't know. At that point, it's so late in the game, and there's no way you're going to come back. I get getting him reps, but he was just out there on a play he probably didn't need to be in on. And now he tore his ACL, and he's done for the year, and they were going to rely on him a lot. So, and for him, that's like his third or fourth torn ACL. So not great career-wise either to have an injury like that take you out this late in the season. It obviously has implications for next year, but definitely big ones for the Ravens. Hopefully they can keep it up. Have Pittsburgh this week to wrap it up, and then we'll see how the rest of the pins fall. But so far, got to be happy with the way things are and not try to think about it too much.
Yeah, no Mark Andrews, missing two of your key running backs. Isaiah Likely's obviously stepped up. To me, it's crazy. I'm not a huge Lamar fan, but it's pretty obvious the reason they're winning these games is Lamar Jackson, like the main point. But I am a big defensive guy, as I think you both are too. And I think Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith are the best linebacker duo in the NFL. I I mean, you could make an argument Fred Warner and Greenlaw on the Niners, but I don't know, just the communication that Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen have, and they're just out there every play making things happen. On the other side of the ball, it just
They're tackle machines.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
They just rack up tackles.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, athletic freaks, and obviously Patrick Queen was a little bummed out when Roquan came last year because he took all the thunder, but it's been the best thing for Patrick Queen's career. I mean, and not for that, but you two both get to play all the time, and when Roquan has to cover, he gets the blitz and vice versa. So it's really the last time I remember having such a flow of two players in a position next to each other on the Ravens defense was Ed Reed and Bernard Pollard. Mostly because Ed Reed could just do it all, but Bernard Pollard just hit people with such force, and it was just a good blend. And yeah, Roquan, I mean, I'm biased in saying they're number one, and there's a lot of good duos, but for what they both bring to the table, it's pretty outrageous that they're both together right now and together for the foreseeable future in the middle of the Ravens defense.
What a trade you guys made last year. It's just kind of under the radar. I mean, it wasn't under the radar, but I don't think people thought it had the impact it's really had.
Yeah. I mean, I would joke last year. I was like, oh, Roquan might get traded. It would be insane if the Ravens got him. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then a second-round pick does it, and he's worth $100 million. And not for nothing, the Bears signed Tremaine Edmonds to replace him. They spent like $85 million. So you could have just bucked up an extra 20 for a player who's a little bit better overall.
Bears and their linebackers just giving them away.
Did they bring in TJ Edwards too from the Eagles? And he hasn't done really anything, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know what his stats are, but I feel like they're not what they were when he was with the Eagles. But yeah, they spent a lot of money. I guess they spread it out, so you can make that argument. But not for nothing, Roquan Smith for $100 million seems like such a steal. And they got him for a second-round pick, so it's like a second-round pick and $100 million. Like, I would do that for any star player. He's legitimately a top 2 linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
A great athletic interception, one-handed grab last weekend against Tua. I mean, guy can do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the Ravens, I feel like they're the team to beat, whether you want that tag or not. That's where they are right now. And Chase, I know you touched on it briefly, but the big question is, talked about the Bradley Chubb injury. Well, week 18, Ravens clinched number 1 seed. Should Lamar Jackson play, and or like, do you want him to play? And Ben, I want your take too, because for me, I'm sitting them, but it's 3 weeks then between games because you got this week and then the bye. So
yeah, I want him to play and I don't want him to play, but ultimately I hope they leave it up to Lamar, and whatever decision he makes, I'm fine with. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how long if he does go. But I mean, they have Tyler Huntley as a backup. He's more than capable of handling it against the Steelers. So either way, I feel comfortable. They don't really have to win, but yeah, I think it would be good at least, or I don't know. I mean, the other thing too that's probably gone a little not as mentioned as just being a really good team in the AFC is the fact that they've had some people playing this year that haven't had a lot of time to play. And that's like Bateman, and other just receivers. Kohler likely's playing a lot more now, obviously with the Andrews injury, but even just when he would have time last year, he never really got used. And I feel like that's such a big difference this year is the fact that Bateman obviously has played an extensive part of the season. So it's helping Lamar, and maybe even practice is just fine because of that, because it's not just so short term. I almost have that just scarred into my head because of how many times guys would be in and out of the lineup that, yeah, these guys have actually been practicing a lot more than they have ever in their careers together. So it's probably a good thing, and maybe not necessarily game is needed for them to stay sharp. So that was a long-winded answer for me to say I'm okay with whatever the Ravens want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say no. It's a lose-lose situation because the Ravens go into the playoffs and, you know, Lamar looks rusty after the first quarter and everyone say, oh, he's rusty, he should have played, he hasn't played in 3 weeks. but I think you can take away the potential of winning a Super Bowl. And, if he gets, God forbid, he got hurt or something, I would just play safe, sit him, and go from there. That's what I would do. But
Yeah, I definitely got the purple glasses on.
yeah.
And it feels weird because when the Eagles went on their Super Bowl run, it seemed so certain that they needed the bye week. Like no one was saying, "Oh, they're going to be rusty from it." It was like they need the bye because they need to rest to get people like Nick Foles back, and he was banged up going into that game, and they had like issues going into the postseason. So it just feels weird because I felt so certain then, like I knew it. And it wasn't even my team, but I was like, if the Eagles hit the bye, they have such a good chance of like making it further into the playoffs. And like not because of the rust factor. Like it seemed like they were already a gelled team. So I don't know why I'm having such a hard time seeing that with the Ravens, but I guess it's because they've had such terrible losses this year that I don't know. I feel like at any moment something is just around the corner. But
yeah, and
we'll enjoy the ride. And before we move on, quick, have you heard about the Ravens tattoo guy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he was getting a win until they get a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Do you know he went to Penridge? He's on my baseball team because I have him on Facebook, and he's always just talking about how he's just on ESPN.
Oh no, but that's crazy. I feel like you might have brought him up before though for something.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
He's gotten like a tattoo of every Ravens win of like I think his wife's the one that tattoos it. Of every Ravens win, it's like a different theme based on whatever, like they beat whatever team. But he was on ESPN's NFL Countdown last week about it.
This year, he's like, or
last year and this year.
Yeah,
it's just like little. It's not like big.
Yeah, he's up space.
But he posted on Facebook about how he was going to be on ESPN NFL Countdown. I think it was ESPN NFL Countdown this past week. I just didn't know if you had heard of him because I was like, oh, that's crazy. He's just like getting notoriety for that.
Yeah. There was an article, like a little write-up too on ESPN
anyway
about it.
Yeah, no, but are you talking about the Ravens? Couple bad losses. Speaking of teams that have bad losses, the Philadelphia Eagles, 1-4 in their last 5 games, have completely lost control of winning the division, lost the number 1 seed. Obviously, the Niners clinched that up, and barring from weird Commanders victory over the Cowboys, they're going to be a wild card team this year. And I mean, Dallas they've stuck it out, and they had the rough, close game against the Dolphins, lost that one, and then another close game this week against the Lions. Call it controversial. I call it a win in the win column. And I mean, it's just, no matter what the situation is, the Eagles have completely choked, and the Cowboys have stayed true enough to now they've put themselves in a position to win the division and snatch that number 2 seed because they beat Detroit too. So,
yeah, it was big for the Cowboys, and I feel like Mike McCarthy is the one who keeps putting the Cowboys in a bad position. Obviously, against the Dolphins, bad clock management, bad play calling. Let the Dolphins probably sneak one out. And in the Lions game, leading up to whatever debacle happened or didn't happen, depending on who you ask, the Cowboys really didn't help themselves with play calls. And then they gave the ball back with plenty of time to the Lions. So,
yeah.
They honestly, I would be terrified about that in the playoffs. You can't have like that much time giving back to people and just time management.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for the Cowboys, if they can put themselves in a position to have as many home games as possible, is they just look like 2 different teams at home versus on the road. So if they can have as many home games in Dallas, it'll give them the best chance to, get farther in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, and real quick with the Detroit game, being a brand new Cowboys fan, Lindsay and I talked about it. If we were Lions fans, we would be pissed. Okay, we'd be pissed on the play, the situation. You see the replay, you see 3 offensive linemen go up to the ref because they're trying to confuse them. You only hear the ref say number 7, he's eligible. This, that, and the other thing. You can complain all you want, but the fact of the matter is that in the second quarter, the Lions had a 5-minute, 11-play drive on the Dallas 5, and they chose to go for it on 4th down. Incomplete pass. I mean, there's just plenty of missed opportunities. And at the end of the game, the biggest thing for me was, regardless of the outcome of that call, the next play when they were backed up where you were, kick the extra point. I know you don't want some sketchy overtime loss. Dallas gets the ball first. They drive down, score touchdown. I mean, it was a defensive battle the whole game. If you watch the game, the Lions played great defense. The Cowboys played great defense. You have to know that you can hold the Cowboys to a field goal even if they get the ball first in OT. And that play in general, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm mad. Obviously, if it goes the other way. But, Lindsay made a great point too, and that's Micah Parsons. I think it's like since week 5 or something crazy, hasn't gotten a holding call on him. And there were at least 2 plays that game where it was bad. Like real time, I'm like, that's a hold, nothing. And then, they show the replay, hand up in his face. It could be illegal use of hand sanitizer to the face or holding, no matter which way you call it. Ref doesn't throw the flag. Micah's jersey's ripped up. I mean, there's just so many parts of a football game. And the thing I hate the most is that if you really think about it from the Lions' perspective, it's irrelevant. Like, if they get snubbed out of the 2 seed versus this 3 seed, does it really matter that much? And there were people getting butthurt over it that had nothing to do with the Lions. Like, they won their first division in 3 decades. I don't think they're going to be that mad about a controversial 2-point conversion. They're going to be in the playoffs 2 weeks from now, and everyone's going to be pumped out of their minds. They're not going to have to play the Eagles or Dallas. They're going to get maybe the Rams, which, it's not going to be fun. But either way, they get a home game. And as for the Philadelphia side, be mad all you want, but they choked. They choked. They let the bunny rabbit, Kyler Murray, wrap up a game-winning drive against them. And 1-4 in the last 5 games. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost next week against the Giants in East Rutherford. But just a wild sequence of events. Both those teams are going to be teams that are scary in the playoffs, but yeah.
It makes it sketchy for our over-under, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to just go for it?
Yeah, let's go for it. So it's just going right off that. Eagles lost 1-4. They're now 11-5. So we'll go with the NFC. And
so how many we had?
We had 6 in the NFC and 7 in the AFC.
Okay.
These are all the ones that we agreed on.
Yeah. So we went through these one by one in August, and we all chose over/under. And if all 3 of us matched, we put it in our parlay. And now we're about to break it down for you. NFC up first?
NFC up first.
All right, let's get it.
Hint for everyone. I hope you didn't take the parlays. No, I'm just kidding. So Eagles was over 11.5.
It was over 11.5?
Yep.
I thought it was 10.5.
It was 11.5.
Well,
Yikes.
I say it. I mean, it'll hit. I mean, they could choke, but
Cowboys over 9.5.
Ding.
It's a good hit. Rams over 6.5.
Ding. That was an easy one.
That was a good
They
one.
smashed that.
Packers under 7.5.
Oh.
That one.
They're 8-8, so they just got over it.
Yeah.
That one makes me mad. I mean, I thought the Vikings would be a little better this year. Obviously, Kirk Cousins going down was big, but
yeah.
That one makes me a little salty. Matt LaFleur is not that good of a coach.
Panthers under 7.5. Can you believe the total was 7.5? Though.
You thought Bryce Young was going to win that many? Well, I guess because their division isn't that good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the last one, Falcons under 8.5. Which
That's
a hit.
So theoretically, we can go at least 4 out of 6, if not 5 out of 6.
Yeah, so we
Eagles.
already hit 4.
Yeah.
And 1 is out. So we're either 5-1 or 4-2 in the NFC.
I mean, you straight play that. That's profit. So shout out to the NFC lovers out there. You're welcome.
All right. Checking in on the AFC now. Jets over 9.5.
Okay, that we basically knew we were done from
play 1 of the year.
Yeah.
That was just a tough one overall. Nothing we can do about that. Texans under 6.5.
That's kind of the opposite. I mean,
we talked about it on the podcast then that we didn't think they would be able to put it together this quickly, and they put it together, I think, quicker than we thought. I think a lot of people thought.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, they gave less credit to them than the Panthers, and
yeah,
Granted, I don't know if the Titans are on this list or are.
Oh, they're next. Over 6.5.
They're-
Agree.
They're a big part of why the Texans under did not hit.
Oh, let me tell you, we went 0 for 3 in the AFC South, because then the next one's the Jaguars over 9. Oh no, Jaguars over 9.5. So that could hit. We have a chance on that one.
I'm not feeling great about it. Who do they got this week? In the Titans, right? Play the Titans.
Yeah, sorry.
Pretty good.
They play the Titans. So we're 0-3, potential win with the Jaguars. Next up, we got the Browns under 9.5.
That's a clear miss. Oh my goodness, Joe Flacco.
Got the Chiefs over 11.5.
Where's that?
That's a miss.
That's a miss.
And then we got the Raiders under 6.5.
Oh my gosh. Are we going 0-7 in the AFC?
We might be at 0-7 in the AFC.
That was pretty bad. That was a pretty bad run.
Potentially 1-6 if the Jaguars win.
If the Jags win, we go 1-6. If they lose, though, we go 0-7.
Mm-hmm.
I
Also, listening to that, by the way, you were really hyped about the Bengals, but the Bengals over-under was 11.5, which is kind of crazy.
The unpredictability, quarterback injuries, and just play in general.
Chargers was 9.5. Just a lot of yeah.
Oh my!
It was interesting to listen back on that. And
wow. Yeah, I want to go back and listen to that too. We were probably so confident.
Yep.
I mean, the NFC we did well.
You were hype about the Titans. You were ready to go.
I cannot right now. The Titans are going to be the only AFC South team with a losing record, no matter what happens this weekend.
To be fair, though, you were also over on the Bucks, and I was under, so that was a good one. You were really confident about the Bucks over.
Yeah, but I'll say you. I mean, your pick, the Rams win the division, is not going to hit, but that over 6.5, like you just had so much confidence in the Rams bounce back. That was key, man. 9-7 back in the playoffs. I don't want to face them.
Do you remember your Super Bowl prediction? Is it still alive? Do you guys remember your Super Bowl predictions? Your brackets?
I know it was Cowboys on the one side. I don't have my bracket on me.
I think I had Chiefs, Eagles too.
Yeah, you did. That's still going, Ben.
Yeah.
I had the Ravens, Saints.
That's still going.
It's.
What do you mean? You have the best team in the one side and a team that's
no.
still...
I'm hyped that I had the Ravens. I had the Ravens winning it all, but the Saints. That's
if they win this weekend, I think
I remember I had a Saints Rams NFC Championship game.
That also could happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
I can't remember my.
I think you had the Bills.
I think I had Bills Cowboys,
which is still. You see the Bills scenarios? They could be a 2 seed, a 6 seed, or miss the playoffs.
Yeah, they can miss the playoffs.
They could have any one of those options depending on how it goes this week, which is crazy.
That's intense.
If they miss the playoffs, oh my gosh. I mean, at least it's not like back when they had the old wild card setup, only 6 teams made it with 16 games. I feel like you'd see a 10-6 team sometimes miss the playoffs. If a 10-7 team misses the playoffs, it's not that bad.
No,
you're a good team. But
Bills also. I mean, there's a lot of games this year that they could have. I feel like they could have won. They went through a really sloppy stretch. Way through the year.
Yeah, they did.
There's always it's so easy for fans to pick out the controversial, weird things, but there's so many ways you can win. You can win 11 games, lose 6. And make the playoffs, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm just hyped the Jets are ahead of the Patriots. It's a win.
That's a huge win.
Yeah.
But quickly before we get into basketball, I think we just got to quickly talk about Joe Flacco. I know Chase, big fan, but I mean, just absolutely killing it with the Browns, 11-5. I mean, he might as well just stay there, and they might as well sign him to a 3-year extension.
Oh. I mean, I would be happy for him, and it's weird seeing him in a Browns uniform.
Yeah,
that's for sure, and makes me feel very conflicted. The amount of times he would lay an ass whooping on the Browns as a Raven, but I guess there's always 2 chapters. But
it feels
he looks great.
Sorry, go ahead, Chase.
Oh, he looks great, and I think he's making a lot of money doing it. So can't hate on him for that. He's like a Jamie Moyer type right now. Just coming in late career, doing it when other late career quarterbacks were basically just had a sack of potatoes for an arm. He still got a cannon, so
Yeah, he's slinging it.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. The Browns, it seems like the offense in general, they're just letting him just like sling the ball like deep, like lots of deep throws. Just like it seems like they opened up the offense like more than.
Oh god, this is really scary for me to say, but if they had Nick Chubb, they might win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Chase, I just wanted to let me paint the picture. Is this worst case scenario, AFC Championship game, Ravens, Browns, and Joe Flacco has a game-winning drive against you to take the Browns to the Super Bowl? Like, what as a Ravens fan do you do?
Well, I don't know. That would be a tough one.
Do you think like
I mean potential? Are they? I don't know what the bracket's at. Do they have a chance?
Well, I think with reseeding, it always can happen. It's like you can't really map it out.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. I mean, I think you're right, Chase. Nick Chubb, like more than ever, the Browns are definitely missing him. I mean, Jerome Ford is not filling the void. Neither is Kareem Hunt, who wanted more carries, got more carries. But I'm just thinking like the Browns have been like garbage forever. And granted, I mean, the Ravens have, 2 Super Bowls. The last one wasn't that long ago. 11 years ago they won. So it's not like they haven't done anything. But I'm just thinking like basically you got rid of Flacco for Lamar was like what ended up happening. And I'm just like, bro, if Flacco somehow came back and won one on the freaking Stains, as a Ravens fan, I wouldn't be able to wake up the next day.
No, it's going to be really hard. And I've thought about it, but if they did match up, I have enough confidence in the Ravens defense to do enough, and hopefully Lamar could pick up the pace on the other end. But the Browns have a good team. They have a really good defense. They have Vanilla Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator, who I also hate with a burning passion. And now he's on the Cleveland Browns, so it's even more amplified. But they have nice weapons. Njoku's been nice for them. Amari Cooper. Basically, Joe Flacco's 2 ideal prototypes of wide receiver and tight end are those 2 people. So, you can kind of see why it translates really well for him. And yeah, it's great all the way up until they play the Ravens. But other than that, I want to see Joe Flacco win because it's cool to see, and that just cements the fact that he's better than Matt Ryan. And I feel like we all kind of thought that, we all kind of maybe knew that, but now we know that for sure.
So if the Ravens theoretically get knocked out in the playoffs before they played the Browns, which I guess would have to be the divisional round, then would you root for are you okay with Joe Flacco winning?
No.
Okay.
If it was any other AFC team, I'd be like, yeah, go for it. But
the
Browns don't deserve it. They don't deserve it.
Titans should have signed him.
You never know. Maybe the Titans would sign him, but
Jets should have kept him salty. Imagine him tossing to Garrett Wilson with Breece Hall back there. They'd be having a good old day.
I feel like
they would have hit that over-under mark for sure.
Yeah. But we can move on to the NBA. I know that we still have a month until the trade deadline, but Benny's team making the first move, basically the first move
drawing blood
this NBA season. The Knicks, you want to break that down, what the trade was? I know you're not happy about it. Barrett and Quickly, 2 guys you love, are gone by the full trade. What was it again?
Barrett Quickly, I think a second rounder. And then the Knicks got OG, Precious Achiuwa, and
some no-namer.
Someone else. Do you remember Chase?
No, I don't remember.
I think it wasn't anyone relevant.
I mean, OG Anunoby is the main guy. So the Knicks, it seems like since last year, even last trade deadline, they've wanted OG Anunoby. I mean, but he's considered by a lot of guys in the NBA one of the best 2-way players. I just hate to. I really liked Barrett. He was a great spark plug off the bench, and really young. I mean, him and Maxey played together in college. They were really. I think Maxey was 20. He was 21. Picked in the draft. They're pretty similar players. So if Quickly's one of those guys with a bigger opportunity, He can be a really good scorer in the league. But of course, he never got that opportunity with the Knicks and the way they play their veterans more, of course. So that's just how it goes. I mean, I liked Barrett. I liked having RJ. I guess if there was any team for him to get traded to, it would be Toronto because he's from Canada. So I'm sure that's kind of neat for him to get to play where he's from. So I'm happy for him. We'll see how that goes with the Knicks. I'm not a big fan of trading these guys. RJ's still only 23. Quickly's, I don't know if he's 23 also, but they're both still really young. OG, they're going to have to sign to probably a max contract. I think he's a free agent after this, either this year or next year. So they're about to have to spend some big money, while RJ was controllable through 2027. So Knicks are in win now mode. I don't know if that's where they're going to go. I mean, they had DiVincenzo as their starter. Their starting lineup was DiVincenzo and OG, Julius Randle. I don't think Josh Hart was a starter. Someone else I'm missing. But yeah, so I'm not thrilled with giving up RJ, but I'm not surprised.
I thought Randall didn't even want to be there.
We don't want him there.
Yeah.
Well, it's Randall's team now.
I'm salty about it.
Oh, and Brunson.
Brunson.
And Mitchell Robinson, right?
Mitchell Robinson's out again for
he's
I don't know
injured
how
again.
long, maybe
That's
a
right.
year. Mitchell Robinson can't stay on the court. I love him when he stays on the court. He just can't stay healthy. Brunson, I don't know why I forgot about him. Brunson has really turned into a great player for the Knicks. And they got DiVincenzo, and I like DiVincenzo and Hart. I mean, they're both scrappy. I know you like, those Villanova guys, and I hate building around Randall. I absolutely hate it. Hate it. I don't think he's the guy to build around. But now they've backed themselves into a corner. So it's going to be this for 2 years and then terrible Knicks for the next 8.
Get ready for a first round 7-game series.
As long as they're not Pistons bad.
Oh, we'll get there. Oh, trust me, we'll get there. I just really wanted to, Chase, quickly want to talk about, we're recording the show on Tuesday. Sixers play the Bulls tonight. Embiid's coming back. He missed 4 games with an ankle sprain. Sixers managed to go 2-2 without him, which I think says so much about this team. I mean, theoretically, you went from 3 stars last year to 2 stars this year. Maxi's still more or less a rising star, so him, Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, bunch of role players, Marcus Morris, a couple big shots here and there, Pat Bev, Savvy Vets. They were able to go 2-2 without Embiid. They're still in the 3rd seed. Embiid comes back. Then they have Wednesday, Thursday off, and they play Friday, Saturday. So Ben managed to show me the score. They're up by basically 30 right now in the second quarter with Embiid back. I know he's had 14 or something straight 30-10 games. We'll see what he finishes at there. But I don't know, Chase. I just don't want them to do any. I'm okay with how the Knicks did type deal caliber players, but I don't sometimes they said they haven't had this good of a start since the 2000-2001 team that went to the finals. Which is crazy to think. They've had good team. They've been to the playoffs the last 7 years, and they haven't had this good of a start. And it just seems like the offense is just so good. They're getting Tobias Harris shots most nights. There's still a couple nights when they don't get him enough shots, and I don't know. I like the flow they're going at right now. Embiid, no Embiid, they're able to generate offense, and I'm excited. So,
yeah, I'm excited too. And like you're saying, maybe they don't need to go get big time talent to add to this team. Maybe you can just sprinkle in somebody at the deadline, and I guess I'd rather prefer that too instead of trying to add in a bunch of stuff and just jam it together. I feel like what they have going right now is special, and it's hard to recreate that. And you can't really add a lot of stuff in at times when that happens. So definitely like the trajectory. It's nice to see that Embiid's, just building off an MVP season, because I feel like it's going to be hard for him, obviously, with Jokic doing what he always does. So it's just always going to be that battle. And, Joel can sometimes get the effort thrown in his face and doing too much as being a center, but I think he's doing enough to warrant another MVP award if he wanted it. But yeah, obviously they're in a great position. So hopefully we can just keep it together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I mean, we haven't talked a ton of NBA the last few weeks, but I don't know, Ben. I don't think you can pull up. I wanted to go over the Western Conference standings real quick. I don't know if our viewers can see it or not. Either way, they'll be able to quickly pull it up at home. I mean, I'm sure if you follow the NBA, you've been following it. But for me, the Western Conference standings right now, just if you take a quick glance, to me, it looks upside down. And I'll give Ben a sec to see if he can pull it up or not. New platform, bear with us. Still learning as we go. And we can always just table it too.
Everyone see that?
Oh, you might want to make
Yeah.
that.
Hold on, I got Chase in there. Can you see? Everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
You can see it okay?
Yeah.
And then you just want to go down to the Western Conference.
Or I can
side.
just do it without either of us.
Yeah,
We can
that's
just
fine,
talk
yeah.
about it.
Scroll down to the Western side.
All right. So
basically, I mean, what do you guys like when I see that? It just looks upside down. I mean, Grizzlies were like a top 3 seed last year. I mean, you're just used to seeing teams like the Spurs, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Suns, Mavericks have been good. I mean, you have some bad teams at the bottom, some good teams near the top, but
Clippers figured it out a little bit.
like, I mean, just Kings, Timberwolves, Thunder in your top 5 right now. Pelicans as your 6. That's crazy.
Yeah, they were hyping up the Knicks win and OG's debut against the first place Timberwolves, and I'm like, what the heck? I like looked at the stands, like, what the? That's so weird.
And this is like I think this is the prime example of like the NBA doesn't need all these rules with how many times guys sit out games. There's plenty of people, players, coaches, organizations that don't care about the regular season as much, fans, and reasonably so. There's 82 games. It gets boring, right? They're trying to do things like the in-season tournament, which is stupid. But there's teams like the Kings last year that took the regular season more than serious. And I think you're starting to see some of these other teams do it. And the Timberwolves and the Thunder are a great example. They're legitimately going out there every night trying to win. And some teams might be taking nights off. You know, maybe, oh, yeah, we lost the game here and there, whatever it may be. But there's enough now parity where you might see the Suns, Mavericks, Warriors, and Lakers in the playing game. So two of those teams missed the playoffs.
A great playing tournament.
That's what I'm saying. I would not want to be in a position like that. I mean, the Lakers 17-17, anyone could have guessed they'd been there. But it's just
but maybe they shouldn't have gone so hard for the in-season tournament. They've been struggling since.
Yeah, they put a lot of energy in. They had to play that extra game, in Vegas for the tournament title. But I just wanted to quickly touch on that. I thought that was just a quick glance. It just looks upside down. I mean, the East, it looks right. Celtics, Bucks, 76ers. The Heat are in there. I think the Bulls will win enough games to be in there. But it's just wild. And while we're on the standings, I actually was looking up because the Pistons had the longest in-season losing streak ever, NBA record, beat the Sixers. I think they lost 28 in a row.
28, yep.
Yeah, so right now they're 3-30, and the Spurs, what are the Spurs sitting at 5 and 5-27? And I was like, wow, those are bad teams. And I looked up the pace right now, and worst winning percentages of all time. The Pistons are on pace for the 1st, and the Spurs are on pace for the 9th. That is insane.
What do we think out of those three? Out of Pistons, Spurs, and Wizards, who's gonna have the worst record at the end of the year? Wizards are bad too.
It's crazy. You don't even think they're that bad.
They're bad.
They have double the wins as the Pistons.
Bad too, but
it's just crazy. Like, are they tanking? Like, they made all these rules to try to avoid tanking with the lottery too. The NBA is always just doing too much.
I think if you watch, I don't think they're trying to tank. At least the players aren't.
But I'm just thinking, who's the Pistons coach again? It's
Monty Williams.
Yeah, it's Monty Williams. He went from the Suns to the Pistons. I'm like,
Been a rough go for him.
I'm saying Pistons out of those three. I still have faith in Pop. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea where to go with that. I feel like they're all just garbage.
They are.
Yeah. But I was looking it up because they were that bad, and it was this just crazy stat I came across, and it said, and you can probably stop sharing it. Yeah, it said I found the worst team ever to make the playoffs record-wise, and it was the 1952-53 Baltimore Bullets. They went 16-54 and made the playoffs.
Dang.
I didn't look any more into it. I just wrote it down and moved on because I don't even want to know how that happened, but I feel like it just pissed me off.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 16-54.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, gosh. We think 7-9 making the playoffs in football is bad. I don't even know what was going on back then, but
That's absurd.
But yeah, no, we can move on. I know I'm doing a lot of talking now, but we haven't done this in a while. But we did the On This Day in Sports History probably a couple months ago. I thought it was kind of cool, so I quickly just found a couple of things. I don't know if you guys want to hear them or not.
Yeah.
I want to hear your takes. I try to find ones that would be good for you too. I will say January 2nd had way too many cricket and bowl game score on this day highlights.
Yeah.
Couldn't really find anything recently besides the DeMar Hamlin incident 1 year ago. And so
That was pretty funny.
But all right, here we go. I'll work my way backwards. So I'll start in 1943. The University of Kentucky Wildcats men's basketball team begins their 129 home game winning streak that went until 1955, and that's an NCAA record.
It's pretty impressive.
Dang.
Their first win of 129 games in a row at home.
Jeez.
That's probably not going to get broken, I feel like.
No.
Unless someone already broke it.
Yeah, and they backed it up too. 3 national championships in that time frame. So
wow,
they were winning, and they were winning championships too.
Wow.
All right, Chase, this one's more or less for you. In 1918, the Montreal Arena in Westmount, Quebec, the home rink of a 4-time Stanley Cup winners at that point, the Montreal Wanderers Arena burns down, leading to the club disbanding.
No. That's trash.
You think 1918, you already have 4 Stanley Cups, and your stadium just burns down, and then that's it.
And then you just call it quits.
That's fun.
But
was that the Montreal Canadiens? Are they from?
It says Montreal Arena in Westmount, Quebec. Yeah, I don't know where the Canadians do. I don't know. I'm not good with my Canadian.
Aren't they Montreal?
Geography. They are Montreal.
I don't know.
So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if no team just associates themselves with this team. I don't know. If I was the Montreal Canadiens, I would have picked them up. Like, oh yeah, they're a part of us.
Yeah.
All right, last one. This is the craziest one from 1865, going way back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, welterweight Con Oram and heavyweight fighter Hugh O'Neill brawl for 185 rounds before darkness ends legendary bare knuckle boxing match in Virginia City, Montana.
What was a round? How long was a round that it was 185 rounds?
It must obviously was outside somewhere because the darkness just ends the battle.
There's people are like in town, like they slept, they like watch this fight, they like went to bed, got up, and the dudes are just still fighting outside.
I'm just thinking about bare knuckle boxing, like how
they have bare knuckle fighting.
But how messed up do you think these guys are? Like, I don't know how much stats you could find on this. You could probably read a story on it, but
oh my gosh.
That's outrageous.
There's some intense stories.
I know. I just found a couple. I thought it was cool.
Holy crap.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been a really good podcast so far. As we ended, I thought you guys would want to talk about a couple MLB things. I don't know if either you want to run through it. We didn't get to touch on Yamamoto last week because of the holidays. We took the week off.
Yeah, I going to the podcast before, we both said we hope the Dodgers didn't get him. And he went to the Dodgers. So I mean, it's kind of frustrating, especially knowing the Mets offered him the same deal. And he chose the Dodgers. It's a huge contract too. I mean, and it's not deferred like Ohtani's is. And I think they have a 50 million signing bonus on top of a fee they have to pay the MPB club too. So it's a huge deal. Dodgers are stacked. I'm not surprised. I know he said it had nothing to do with Ohtani, but you can't tell me that Ohtani didn't help that transition. Like coming to America too, to have like someone like Ohtani probably help him, like just even help like assimilate to the culture, like learn how to be in this country. That's got to be a factor.
Communication in the dugout.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I know the Mets had Kodai Senga. I don't know how much they use that, but still, that's got to be a big part of it. And the Dodgers they got stars all over the diamond now. So, yeah, that NL West is. I'm glad at least. Well, Braves are another story, but that's a tough lineup and tough pitching staff still. But they still have a lot of questions. I don't think that just means they're going to win the division. They still have a lot of questions at the pitching. They're making moves. They made a lot of expensive, flashy moves, but we'll see how it plays out. Baseball is usually not won by the most money every year. So.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Dodgers are just adding to the fact that not a lot of people are going to like them because they're just front runners and buying up a lot of good talent. So in a way, it's good for them, but I still can't wait to see their demise. I hope the Diamondbacks continue on their path and can do a lot of damage to the Diamondbacks or to the Dodgers over the course of a season. So we'll see.
But, see if they can actually do something in the playoffs. I still wouldn't be surprised to see a first-round exit. Ohtani's never been in the playoffs. It's a whole different ball game when you get there.
Yeah, and I don't know. He chose the Angels the first time out, and that was a terrible signing. So maybe he can continue that trend, and maybe the Dodgers just won't do that well.
The first 3 years just don't even make the playoffs with the expanded wild card.
That would be tremendous.
That would be wild.
Yeah. No, I mean, while we're on that, do you guys think that the Dodgers is the most loaded roster of the decade?
I would have to say so. I mean,
I would say, rewind 5 years and these couple years of the 2020s.
Yeah, so this decade. I would say like 2000s, you had some really stacked Yankee teams in like the mid-2000s. But as far as like 2010s on, between Freeman, Betts, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Kershaw still. I mean, they have so many stars.
So right now, from 15 MLB seasons ago to today, the Dodgers roster is the most loaded. I know you could dive into it and maybe make an argument, but I mean, just thinking about it. 15 years right now. Are you taking it?
We'd have to. I'm sure we could do like war on this, like their lineup now versus like lineups of past teams. They have to be up there. This is like a really statistical team too.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dave Roberts is statistical with the way he manages the team too. I would say it's definitely up there. The only ones I can think of is like, I don't know if it's like 2006 or 2007 Yankees. They had like Johnny Damon, Sheffield, A-Rod, Teixeira, like all in their prime, or even like some of those the Red Sox in 2018 when they had like Mookie, Prime, JD Martinez, Devers, Bogarts.
True.
That was a pretty good team too, but I can't think of anything else besides those two off the top of my head.
It's crazy. So
It is.
But was there any other signings this week? Or I know we're wrapping up our show now. I didn't know.
Yeah, nothing really much. The MLB. I mean, the Mets have made a lot of like small moves. Nothing super noteworthy. I'm looking forward to the season getting started. I'm starting to look at some tickets for some games. Get to a game and get to an Iron Pigs game. And shout out Sam, by the way, just got engaged a couple of weeks ago. I knew that was coming soon. So Sam, if you're listening, congratulations.
Great time to do it. All season.
Yeah, off-season engagement. I'm sure there might be an off-season wedding then too at some point.
Sam, congrats. Yeah, definitely want to get you on the show again too if you're listening, and definitely want to get to an Iron Pigs game this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we appreciate everyone listening. Appreciate the bearing with us as we try out this new platform. We'll kind of do some more things with it, kind of see what we can do and go from there in the future. But you should be able to at least see us a little better on YouTube. Hopefully the audio quality is going to get better, and we're going to keep working through some fun things here. So
and to our fellow podcasters out there, if you have any tips or tricks, helping us grow and improve, always reach out.
Yeah, lots some cool things coming. Got a soundboard. We're gonna work with that too. So
excited.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week for episode 46.
Okay.